Welcome into a new edition of Soccer Over There, live from the Brewhouse Cafe. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Nick Alifi here with you today. Lots of things on the docket to get to. Jessica Sharman's birthday is on the docket, and we will get there this afternoon as well. But we got to start with Atlanta United updates, because there were a few after we finished SDH this morning that came through. It sounds like good news when it comes to Joseph Martinez. It sounds like it's better than we feared. Ankle and knee injury, but nothing torn, nothing broken, and we could see him back, I think, playoffs. I'm just trying to read tea leaves. I'm assuming playoffs. And the other news, before we get to a certain captain, is Ezequiel Barco could be back for the Montreal match. It's not as bad of a Monday as we feared it might be.
No, this is by far the best option that you could possibly have out of him just miraculously healing overnight. When I saw the injury happen, I thought he was done. I thought this was going to be something that would go into the first part of next season. Just when you talk about major surgery, and then having to do the rehab after that and everything that goes into it, I will be the first one to say that I did not just push the panic button. I was headbutting the panic button repeatedly while huffing certain substances. So I'm thrilled that Joseph's going to be okay.
Yeah, I don't think you were alone in headbutting said panic button. I didn't think it was going to be as bad as most did, and I guess the only reason it gave me a little bit of hope was the fact that he was checked out and hopped back on to try to make a go of it. Mm-hmm. If it was something very serious, I don't think that would have happened. As much of a gamer as Joseph is, I don't think he would have been allowed to. That gave me a little bit of comfort in it.
Well, my immediate thought was, I have seen a lot of people in beer leagues try to do something similar where they get seriously injured and they're like, I can do it. I must reach down deep within myself and somehow soldier forward. No, dude, it's a rec league. Just sit on the side. You will live to fight another day. And I thought that was Joseph because that's his mentality, right? Yeah. He is such a driven competitor. I'm like, this guy would have to have his leg halfway blown off to get him off the field. And when I saw him stretchered off, that's exactly what I thought happened. And thankfully, that's not the case. I'm okay with this so far.
I was worried about the foot because it was a little awkward to tell exactly what happened in it at full speed. I was worried that maybe he'd broken a bone in his foot. There was something there, maybe an ankle, but then you see the replay and the ankle doesn't roll over. It was really awkward and difficult to tell exactly what was going on, and it wasn't like it was in a moment in the match where you could just zero in and focus on that. It was kind of a crazy important match at that stage, and it's getting nuts with San Jose, 10 men, fighting for it, putting a ton of pressure on. Atlanta needs the win. They end up finding it. I think it's a gutsy win for the Five Stripes.
Well, if you're an Atlanta United fan, you have to take comfort in the fact that while Joseph's streak ended and the injury happened, you had a couple of goal scorers outside of Joseph show up. And in my opinion, that's something where you want that to go forward. When you look back historically, teams that have had not just one goal-scoring option have tended to fare better in playoff situations. As a manager, if I have to try to game plan one person out of a game, if I say, look, we're just going to cut off all feeds to this one person, no matter what, we are man-marking this person out of existence. All right, the record books they won't even show that this person arrived on game day. That's how tight we're going to mark this man. Oh, wait, hold up. Now you mean I've got to start worrying about all these other characters as well? You got to feel better about it. And look, Tito showed up, and Tito played pretty well. Mm-hmm. And I still think he's a full step off speed-wise from where he was last year.
I'd agree.
But, that's something where I'm okay with that because that means that maybe instead of just thinking, okay, I'm going to blow the doors off the defense, now I have to be a little bit smarter with my possession. I'm okay with that. So hopefully I think he's the person you move forward with, at least for 60, 65 minutes, and then you look to sub him out with a Brandon Vasquez or someone else like that.
I actually go the other way. I would start Brandon, and Tito would be the one off the bench for me. I think Brandon, especially at Yankee Stadium, gives you a little bit of that option to play long and play direct, let him hold up play, bring Tito in to run at tired legs. a lot of questions on the NYC side with injuries, and we'll get into all of those tomorrow on the show and on the preview show on Monday or on a Wednesday. But, John, we had another bit of news that we did not expect this morning. Michael Parkhurst announces his retirement at the end of the season, and I mean, the accolades from teammates, from former teammates, from clubs, from former clubs have been piling in.
As they should. And considering what he's been to not just Atlanta United, but to the franchises that he's touched in MLS and on the national scale, to have this kind of response it's really cool to see when you have a moment like this go down. And I know that if you talk to Cap, it's like, no, okay, so yeah, I've said it, let's get back to work and do our thing. But everybody that has reached out, and you know what Darlington Nagbe said on social media, and what Joseph said on social media too.
Yeah, that one got me a little bit.
Yeah, and you see that kind of stuff, and really, you knew it was coming, but you didn't want it to come when it did, even though you kind of knew it was coming and all that kind of stuff. But no, it was a moment, and you take it and you appreciate Michael Parkhurst for who he is and what he's been able to do. He was the guy who was brought in to be the first captain. Could not have had a better choice for first captain for this club. And, Nick, we got into the show this morning, and we were talking, Jason and I, about you don't have to be a rah-rah guy to be the right captain.
Correct.
You can be a guy who comes up and just doesn't have to even get in your face and be yelling and screaming, ranting and raving. It's like, dog, come here for a sec. Pull you aside. Have a conversation. There's a civil way of doing things. That's just his way. Civil discourse. He'll make his point, but that's just how it is sometimes with guys. Not a rant or raver screamer, but a guy that gets his point across, and to have that level head, even if it's on the pitch in an 11 or an 18, or not on the pitch, on the practice field, to have that kind of a well-rounded guy. And I saw a lot of listeners this morning pull the gift from Dead Poets Society.
Yep.
Oh, Captain, my captain, and they stand on the desk. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of respect that Michael Parkhurst gets.
Well, with Michael Parkhurst, you're talking to one of the smartest guys in the room. Any locker room you go into, Michael Parkhurst is going to be extraordinarily well prepared, and it showed up in the in the MLS championship game when he knew which side to slide in on, because he knew that the Portland player moved the ball to the right. That's not magic. It's not like he threw some tarot cards down and somehow, okay, well, the sun card says I need to go to the right here. No, he watched game tape, and he obsessively watches game tape. And that's why when you have a leader who comes in and there's no garbage, there's no mess, it's I am calm, cool, collected, and I know exactly what we need to do in this game. There's something to that. And you can be hyper-emotional. And I go back to the old AC Milan days with Maldini and Gattuso and all that. You had Gattuso. I mean, he was 2 steps short of walking around with a machete on the field, right? I mean,
Sounds about right.
You need to have somebody on the field who could say, "Hey, look, I need you to do X, Y, and Z and stay in your lane." And somebody who Gattuso could respect, and that was Maldini. And you see that respect even now with the way that Gattuso handled leaving Milan, because that respect for Maldini was still there. You look at Parkhurst, and that's him for this squad. And you can't get around it. It's the loss of leadership. I hope that somehow the team finds a way to keep him within the organization.
Yeah.
But from the cold business side, it was a move that was going to happen. And if you're Parkhurst, you don't want to be a rental player at this point in your career and have to end up somewhere, playing, a low level of minutes, or for a team that
being the 16th, 17th, 18th guy.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy. Let's leave with an organization who values and respects the service that I provided for a couple of years. And you hoisted a trophy. You finally got that champagne smell that he talked about. I was on the other side of the locker room for so many years where the champagne smell would waft over, and we didn't have anything. I think my mic just went out.
All right.
Okay.
Good times. Everything went out.
Everything went out.
How did that happen?
Happy birthday, Jess.
Happy birthday, Jess. No mic. The whole show shuts down.
We're still live on the app.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Cool.
We're live on the app, so can they hear me on the app?
They can hear you on the app,
okay,
yes.
Well, good. Well, that's good, because I didn't want to give Jess a present anyway. I wanted to keep going on the show.
Yes. It's internal.
That's right. It's not my birthday. I didn't get a cake. I don't have a cookie, cake, and flowers, and quality family and loved ones here to support me. Instead, I'm here talking on a microphone, staring at ginger ale. But
nice filling, Nick. Good job.
That's right. But with Parkhurst, the fact that he was able to get that title and the fact that his knowledge and leadership provided the key moment that opened up the scoring in that game.
Yes.
I'm beyond thrilled for him that this is where and how he wants to walk away from the game.
I mean, that's the moment. A lot of folks we asked this morning, it's like, what's your Michael Parkhurst moment? And there are two. The tackle that led to the first goal in MLS Cup, and then the video that was re-released this morning by Atlanta United when he was named captain. We're at Flowery Branch.
Yeah. Tata
Martino, Carlos Bocanegra walk him outside in the cold training ground up at Flowery Branch. And, hey, dude, we want you to do something. That video got re-released. Those are the two moments for me.
The other one for me was the goal line save against Columbus in 2017.
Yes.
He was injured. He didn't start that match. I think he hurt his knee in the final game of the regular season against Toronto, if I remember correctly. And you didn't know what he had in the tank that day. And he came in about midway through the second half, went all the way through extra time, and made that play that kept it alive. That's what he does. I thought one of the best quotes from some of the others who commented on him was from Bobby Warshaw at MLSsoccer.com. Bobby was a defender as well, and Bobby said, he was my role model as a player. He showed that you didn't have to be overly fast, strong, or, quote, talented. It was possible to make it through intelligence, demeanor, and technical. See more national team apps.
Yes.
Other players who might have been bigger or stronger or faster got those. And Michael Parkhurst is that intelligent center back that can play in any system and get any job you need done that we need to see more of coming up. I hope a lot of kids in Atlanta have seen him play and say, you know what, I can be like Michael Parkhurst. I can play that game.
Yep.
That's right. I don't have to be, and this is coming from someone who's like 5'5", 150, obviously a giant of a human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm a giant in Sicily, and that's about it.
Yeah. They call you Gooch.
That's right.
Oguchi Onyewu and you, very similar.
But I don't have to be 6'4", right? I don't have to be this monster. Instead, I can just come out. I can study the game. I can be a true student of the game, a fan of the game, and I can make a career work. There's something to be said about that because, and here's my little 2 cents I want to add about Parkhurst is that. At the championship celebration, that it's cold, it's rainy, the buses pull up, and me and my son, we are to the left of the stage, right, to the far left, right where the buses came in. Parkhurst was the only player who came over, and he signed for all the kids right there. And to me, that just says something. When it's cold and rainy, you want to be up under the overhang. Sure, you probably have had a few beers, so you're not feeling necessarily much of anything at that point.
It's very possible that happened.
Yeah, but he came over. He came over and he signed autographs and he took pictures, and I just thought that was extraordinarily cool of him to do that because no one else did. And I'm not knocking him for it, but I'm just pointing out the positive. And it's going to be great for kids like my son, who's not going to be a physical giant, to say, I can succeed if I just pay attention to the game. I can succeed.
Yeah, Parkhurst understood what it meant to be a captain and be a captain of a club. And he mentioned it today in some of his comments about knowing that he was the first and knowing starting a club and all the things that go into it. He had to be that guy. He had to go out and represent the club in the right way. Very different type of player, but I've been watching the El Corazon de Sergio Ramos series on Amazon Prime. And there was a great episode in that where Ramos was talking about all of the responsibilities of being a captain and being a captain of a club like Real Madrid. And they were going through a difficult time when this was being filmed. It was at the beginning of the Lopetegui side, and then he's let go, and it's Solari. And Ramos has to go out to appearances and be the captain of Real Madrid and put on the brave face and be the nice guy and do all the things that you have to do. It's not just putting on an armband. There's so much more of it that goes into this, and Michael was the absolute right guy because of what you said, Nick, because of all the things we've seen him do in the community. Michael was the right one to set that expectation for what being the captain of Atlanta United means.
it's not just on the field. It's community. It's being there. It's being that face. It's being the voice. It's that point person almost for sound bites every single time out. You lose 4-1. Who's the guy that's going to be that first player that's going to be out there answering questions? It's going to be the captain 9 times out of 10. Michael Parkhurst was there in losses. He was there in wins. And that's the stand-up guy that you're looking for to represent everything and be out there on the front lines every single time.
Well, as a defender, and so as the Defenders Appreciation Society chairman and president, when you look at your back line, there has to be someone back there. I don't care if you're running a 3-man back, a 4-man. It doesn't matter. I want one person back there who, hell, high water, rain, sleet, snow, I can count on. And Michael Parkhurst was that guy for Atlanta United. It doesn't matter the conditions. It doesn't matter where the venue is. You know that you have that steady hand in the back. And not every club has it.
Nope.
Every club is always searching for that steady hand in the back. And with Parkhurst, you knew that 9 times out of 10, if he was passing back to Guzan, the pass was going to be crisp. You knew that if he had to pass out somewhere to the wing or to the mid, that it wasn't going to be a sloppy pass or a stupid pass or a forced pass. It would be controlled and it would be necessary. And he could evade pressure when he had to, and you didn't see him push up the field because, let's be frank, he didn't have the greatest closing speed of all time, but you always knew he would be in the right position. Mm-hmm. And that's something that is priceless when it comes to any sort of high-level soccer, is having that one defender in the back who what I call a duck. You're smooth on the surface, paddling like hell underneath.
Yeah.
And that was Michael Parkhurst.
So hopefully there's at least one more home regular season game for Michael Parkhurst, then one postseason game. Hopefully there's a very cool moment from the 17s and from the club to honor Parkhurst on November 6th, October 6th, against New England. Hopefully that's an opportunity to send him off before the playoffs and honor his career. But Nick mentioning defense and the need for strong defenders leads us into the Champions League and leads us into Nick's favorite club, Juventus.
My God.
I just threw in we needed to talk about Champions League and recap the first match day of it. And you had a lot to say about Juve.
Well, yeah, and what did we talk about before we were doing our preview? We said that the back line was going to be the main issue for Juventus because Chiellini's out. He was the person who would direct traffic on that back line. And if you think about it in Italian terms, he was typically your sweeper, your libero in the back. And Bonucci was the guy who would push forward. He was somebody, especially on set pieces, Bonucci would crash forward, drop in a header, or remain outside, collect the trash, and put a shot on goal. But he's not someone who you want to command the back line. And it was for reasons what you saw in this game. The first goal, Bonucci failed to call out the adjustment, right? Where the ball is coming up, it moves along the right side, it's being launched in, and Bonucci is staring off into space. There's no adjustment on the Juve back line. So Atleti scores. Now you're 2-1, right? So at some point, Bonucci has to pull those boys together like Chiellini would and say, okay, here's what we're going to do going forward. Okay, here's how they're attacking us. We're going to make some adjustments. Atleti almost scores again. And Bonucci is not even, you see De Ligt calling it out. Look, he's moving up. Nope. Nothing. And so Bonucci's lack of leadership, to me, was unbelievable. The fact that you let Atletico Madrid come back into that game, you had an opportunity to shut them down and get them out and walk away with 2 goals at the Wanda.
Yeah, on the road.
I mean, that's all you can ask for. And you're saying, okay, we're going to put Szczesny in a bad situation. Szczesny's not a bad keeper at all, right? He's more than serviceable. But when you have a guy like Bonucci and that failed leadership, his ownership of the back line, putting De Ligt in the position, and when De Ligt is the one who is trying to make your adjustments, dude, he's like a baby in your system. He's brand new. He doesn't even know the full ins and outs of Sarri's system, and you're having him make the calls? Juventus is a team that's going to get out of the group. I don't think it's an issue. They're going to get out of the group. But I really question whether this team can move forward. out in the Champions League if they're having to rely on Bonucci to make these calls in the back. Okay, it just seems to me that there's a sloppiness. He hyper-focuses. He gets tunnel vision on attacks. And where Chiellini would look back and scan the whole field and say, okay, Bonucci, you go here. Alexandro, you go here. I'm going to cover this right here. No, that's not there. And it's glaring to watch. And what's so crazy is that Juve has never been that team. They've always had that captain in the back, and they're lacking that right now.
So, other Italian results. Atalanta struggled, as we figured they would coming in.
Right.
If you listened to the show last week and you heard our Juice Box segment, hopefully you paid attention on the Napoli part of things because that one paid off. But Inter, not so good, eh?
No, it wasn't. I thought that, well, first of all, Slavia Praha, the owners were laughing when they got drawn into that group, right? I mean, they were like, yeah, here we go. But they put on an absolute game against Inter. And that's the whole thing with Conte has been domestic success, European failure. And I honestly thought that Conte had worked that out. I was like, okay, this is going to be the time. He's got the squad he wants. He has the support from the organization. The drama, the backroom drama is gone now. He has everything he needs to succeed in Europe. And to come out and draw Slavia Praha, there are major questions with Inter from a European side. Domestically, they're A-okay.
Yeah.
But I have major questions about the philosophy of the team going in. What mentality did they have walking into Slavia? I believe it was, boys, let's come in, let's get a quick goal, let's shut them down, and let's walk out of here. No injuries, we stay healthy. And that burned them.
Yeah, you can't play that way. Not at the Champions League level. Not when it's the biggest game in Slavia Praha's season. John, Jesse Marsch. Not a bad start for Mr. Marsch at Red Bull Salzburg.
And remember, folks, that Montreal had Jesse Marsch as a head coach.
Yeah, they fired him after 1 year.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
6 on the board. Holland with a hat trick. Wong. Now we were having fun last week. Did we come up on a uniformed pronunciation on Szoboszlai?
Sure.
6 on the board against Genk, and to see Jesse Marsch on the sideline, basically windmilling, fist pumping, and just the general excitement of that whole thing. Yeah, you keep this up, sir, and your ticket can be written any direction you see fit.
Yeah. A couple others. Dortmund and Barca, scoreless. Yep. Little surprising. Barca can't find a goal. It is on the road. It's not catastrophic. There's other catastrophic things to talk about when it comes to Barca.
I think it is catastrophic.
At Dortmund.
Look, that's fine that it's against Dortmund. And it was in Dortmund,
yes.
Right? That's fine.
Basically, you're just saying get your points at home and go.
That's what you have to do.
I have an issue with the fact that Barcelona should be able to get a goal.
No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. There's too much damn talent on that team. There's too much talent on that team.
Valverde is too defensive of a manager for Barcelona. He does not get what it means to be in the Barcelona kit.
Yep.
No. And this is something we can get into when we kind of do our deeper dive on them. But I believe that every club, regardless of your sport, you have an identity. Mm-hmm. Right? You have an identity. Remember the Braves in the 90s? What was it? Strong pitching?
Yep.
Get your runs when you can.
Yep.
The Yankees, home runs, baby. Long ball, right? Bronx Bombers. The Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Strong defense, stability. Barcelona, we pass the ball beautifully. We play the game beautifully. We will control the game with precision passes, and we will just pass you into oblivion, death by 1,000 cuts.
And we'll attack. It's
right.
Definitely from an attacking standpoint.
Yeah, it's not a defensive. It's not pasanacho.
No.
We will pass, we will score, we will win. That's not there anymore.
Nope.
They have no clue who they are.
Nope. It's Barca's a little bit lost. Tottenham and Olympiacos, we thought it'd be difficult for Spurs. It's a 2-2 in Greece. Right. That's not horrible for Spurs.
No,
that's not an easy place to get 3.
No.
Not bad. I guess the biggest surprise in terms of the scoreline and the margin is PSG 3, Real Madrid 0.
Yeah.
That was with no Neymar.
Yes.
I believe that was also with no Mbappe as well, correct?
I believe you are correct.
All right.
Di Maria in the 14th and the 33rd, and Meunier in 90+1.
Well, what we saw in that was PSG playing the way that I think people have been wanting PSG to play. Mm-hmm. They had some steel in their spines. They were motivated. They moved with purpose. They defended with purpose. Anytime Real Madrid tried to catch PSG in transition, it was snuffed out, shut down. And that's the PSG that I believe everyone has been expecting with the talent that they have at their disposal. And you have a player who, being a diva, disrupts that. And I think Thomas Tuchel's kind of looking around right now saying, maybe I can put this guy out the pasture and do something here.
You did play another diva, Icardi up top.
Well, Icardi, I believe Mauro Icardi's a blank slate.
Okay.
I believe he's a blank slate. He does whatever Wanda and his handlers tell him to do.
I think you might be right.
It's like, Mauro,
he's a Polaroid, basically.
He's Zoolander. He's soccer Zoolander.
Yes.
That's exactly. It's like models do whatever they're told to do, Derek. No, they don't. Yes, they do. Yes, we do. Like that's Mauro Icardi. You don't. I want to be an Inter. No, you don't. Okay, I don't. Like that's Mauro Icardi. Like,
so then when Icardi gives blue steel.
Yeah. When Icardi gives blue steel, I think that's what PSG's hoping for right now. Can we at least get some blue steel?
Here's a number for you from Real Madrid. The number is 0. Shots on target in that match.
Well, it all started when you're about to take your pre-match picture, and the pennant is handed down to Gareth Bale in the front row to hold it. And Gareth Bale looks at it was Varane because Ramos wasn't in the team. Bale looks at Varane like he's handling something with poison on it. Like, what, really? Really? You want me to hold that?
Yeah.
And then Bale hands it off as fast as possible.
That look right there tells you that Bale is on a mission from God.
To get out?
Like, all he wants to do is build his value, and as soon as humanly possible, get me out of Madrid. I mean, he's making it impossible for Zidane to bench him.
Yeah.
And Zidane has told this guy, if you could just go ahead and leave now, that would be great. That would just be so awesome if you could just go. And then to turn around and have to say, Zidane, Zidane has to come out and be like, Gareth is a very important player. We want to play him as much as possible.
Death by 1,000 sound bites.
Yes, exactly. Like we know. That's why we have said it before. You don't badmouth people when you think they're on their way out the door, because you never know when that person is. You're going to have to rely on them. Right?
You better make sure that they are out the door.
You better make sure that person's out the door. You better make sure that person is done, dusted, and finished. And still, even then, you never know where you're going to end up. You never know where you're going to end up. And everyone out there listening right now, if you were at work, and I've said this before, and you badmouth a colleague, okay, you're a bum, you're no good, you're out. I guarantee you, the way the universe works, that person's going to be your supervisor in 6 months.
Check.
Yeah.
So when you're at work and you're either the employer or the employee, be a doctor. Do no harm. Just do your job and get out. Punch the card and get out. That's all you got to do. Zidane just should have said, the situation is what the situation is, and we are on to Osasuna. That's it. Go Bill Belichick. We are on.
What's wrong with awards?
Continue.
What's wrong?
Well, let's see. The fact that there were no Manchester City players on the best 11.
I didn't say the awards were good. You just got mad about the awards existing.
Well, I knew where you were going.
Okay. You jumped the gun a little bit. Let's start with the big ones. Let's start with the Player of the Year.
Right.
On the women's side, Megan Rapinoe. I know somebody's biased over in the audience, and I'm going to agree with Jess on this. Lucy Bronze should have won the Player of the Year award. I don't even think Rapinoe was the Player of the World Cup.
Hold up.
Julie Ertz was the Player of the World Cup.
Who was that player that I said should never have won FIFA World Player of the Year, and all I was told about was, but Nick, did you see his performance in the World Cup? He dragged that team through. He was a symbol for this team's success. Who's that guy? Luca who? Luca what? Why? Oh, because he dragged his team through the World Cup?
You're still upset about 2006, Nick.
No, but your logic is all messed up because you say
it was 13 years ago.
Dragged his team through the World Cup. He deserved to be FIFA World Player of the Year. And because all the pressure, everything that was on that U.S. women's national team, and Rapinoe sat there and said, send all the slings and arrows, all your rocks, all your lead anvils my way. I'm going to take them. I'm going to score. I'm going to look good doing it. I'm going to dye my hair funky colors, and I'm going to showcase style and profile all up in your camera.
Yeah?
She did that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That year that you're very upset about from 2006, Cannavaro did things at the club level too, right?
Yes.
What has Reign FC done in the NWSL? They haven't won nothing. Zip. Zilch. Bronze was on the Champions League winning Lyon squad.
Okay, but you're saying that who did Modric have on that team? That Real Madrid team?
Oh no, you're okay. So you're mad about Luka now? Okay, all right.
Was it pretty loaded?
You've got lots of angers
was it
with
pretty
these
loaded squad?
awards.
All I'm saying is that you're diminishing the team's issue, right, with the Reign, and all I'm saying is that Luka Modric's success obviously has not carried over post Cristiano Ronaldo. So
he won a Champions League and got to a World Cup final. That's pretty good.
But with how much supporting help at Real Madrid? How much supporting help?
Do we want to go through the Reign FC roster?
Supporting help.
Do we want to go through the roster that didn't make the playoffs last year?
Your logic makes no sense. I'm just
didn't
saying
make the
playoffs. Was given an award. She had political pressure outside.
Yes, absolutely.
She had pressure internally. The federation was a mess at the time.
Yep.
So somehow, some way, I think there's some people in the room who might be a little bit mad that a certain team got removed from the tournament.
Well, no, she is
saying.
mad about that. We know that.
Yeah.
That's a definite.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
But no, I think Lucy Bronze was the player of the year because of what she did at the club level and what she did for an England squad that she doesn't have as much around her as Megan Rapinoe. I think Julie Ertz was the best player for the U.S. in the World Cup and the most critical one for them in the World Cup. On the men's side, Lionel Messi, player of the year. Not really a shock.
No.
His 6th such award. That's insane. There was a little bit of pushback from the Liverpool fans about Virgil van Dijk not getting this.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And at some point between Messi and Ronaldo, we're going to have to start asking as they get older, how much of this is a legacy award for these guys and how much of it is like actually earned? And I know I'm waiting for my phone to start vibrating off the table.
At Nick Alifi on Twitter, y'all.
There's no question that Messi is, in my opinion, the best player of the generation, right? It's Messi, Ronaldo. You can cycle them however you want. They deserve all the awards. But was this Messi's best year?
No, it wasn't his best year. No.
Okay.
Was he better than Van Dijk or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo, I will say Ronaldo, yes.
I think so.
But the problem with Van Dijk is that you're asking to compare an attacker to a defender.
Right.
And that's the conversation we've had before.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I think we've all been in agreement that Fabio Cannavaro will probably be the last defender to hoist the FIFA World Player of the Year.
I don't think he'll be the last, but I think things have to fall in the right way for a player like that to get it. I think there can't be another big candidate. And this year, I mean, Messi and Ronaldo both had great years at the club level.
Right.
It wasn't a year for Van Dijk.
No, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to not put Van Dijk up there, even as the resident chief chairman CEO of the Defenders Appreciation Society.
Yes,
I believe that more credit should have been sent his way. And I am not a Liverpool fan. I in no way support Liverpool. I don't care about the cop. None of that means anything to me. Istanbul was hard for me, Jason.
Yeah, I know.
Istanbul was hard for me. Okay.
I know. You still throw things.
Okay.
We got time.
I have to compose myself.
We got an hour and 22 minutes for you to throw things.
All I'm saying is that I think that he should have been given probably a bit more props. I think that if he had been up here accepting this award, I would have been 100% A-okay with it.
He was in the best 11. Is that okay?
No.
No?
I want him winning it.
Alisson is your goalkeeper in the best 11.
Sure.
3 Dutchmen, De Ligt, De Jong, and Van Dijk.
De Van Dijk.
The remainder of the side, Marcelo, Sergio Ramos, Eden Hazard, Luka Modric, Nick's favorite player, Cristiano Ronaldo, Kylian Mbappe, and Lionel Messi. No players from Manchester City make the best 11.
No De Bruyne.
No Raheem Sterling.
No Raheem Sterling.
That's the one that I had an issue with.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
All right, Nick, I'll make you happy.
all right.
Oh.
In the 2019 Team of the Year, Luka Modric should not have been in it. The 2018 team, yes. 2019, no, Raheem Sterling should have been in that spot.
Check.
And it's not like for like because they're different players, but in the midfield, Sterling should have been in this team, I think.
It's noted. It's noted. Look, I think what's happening with Man City, and this is going to be a rough comparison. So if you are a total Euro footy fan, just bear with me here.
Uh-oh.
If you are a fan of American sports and Euro sports, this will make some sense. For a long time, we had players win the Heisman Trophy, and they were compared to other players who were called system players, right? The system was so good, and like the quarterbacks who played in the air raid, you're going to put up a ton of yards every year, you're going to put up a ton of touchdowns every year, but you're less of a quarterback because you play in this great, awesome, amazing system. And I think what's happening is a little bit of discrimination against Man City because the system is so great, awesome, and wonderful because of Pep Guardiola that your ability as a player is diminished as a result. The way that you are viewed, that doesn't mean you're actually a worse player than any of the competition.
But you're part of a collective.
Yeah, you're part of a collective. Because,
Feels like there's maybe a little bit of backlash, too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, sure there is. And I think that it's unfortunate, but it's a reality of the situation. When you invest as much money as Man City has, when you have the level of domestic success that Man City has had, there will be backlash. People will diminish your,
You spent all this money, therefore, oh, ha, 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 you have to be successful.
Yeah.
That was Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, bought, not built, like it's, I get it. I understand. But it just seems to me that that's what's happening, is that these players are being deemed system players, and their successes are being diminished as a result. And I don't think that's necessarily fair. But I think it's the reality of the situation.
A couple other awards. Men's Coach of the Year, Jurgen Klopp. Women's Coach of the Year, Jill Ellis. Really no arguments with either one of those, not with the year that they both had. The one that's gotten some arguments, though, the Fair Play Award from FIFA.
Yeah.
The Fair Play Award, it's got some takes, too. Marcelo Bielsa and Leeds United got the Fair Play Award for what they did in giving the goal
Aston
back.
Villa.
There was another incident that got some people riled up. There was something else that Frank Lampard probably did not cast his vote for Marcelo Bielsa.
Oh, goodness.
Maybe it was the way in which they handled it, though. Because if it was one thing if Bielsa came out and said, no, we didn't spy. What are you talking about? Like, we have your employee drop their badge right here. No, that's not my guy. No. That badge is a forgery. No idea what you're talking about. No, never seen it before. What? No. Oh, he knows my cousin. Oh, that guy. Yeah. No, he came out and he did a PowerPoint presentation.
Most brilliant hour and 10 minutes.
He did.
Forever.
Oh, my God. It was must-see TV. And I loved every moment of it. And I think because he handled it so openly, and he said, yes, this is what we do. This is why we do it. Here's every critical, ridiculous, stupid detail we gained as a result.
That I already had.
Yeah.
I didn't need to do it. I'm just crazy, basically.
And I think if Belichick had come out and said, yeah, we did Spygate. Yeah, we taped practices. Here's exactly what we learned. I think the Patriots may have, no, they wouldn't have been treated any better than what they were.
Yeah, no, Belichick's not Bielsa.
But Bielsa, I think, handled it perfectly, professionally. It's the dark arts. It is the dark arts. It happens. And he came out and said, yes, I'm a lunatic, and here's why.
All right, let's recap some of the league action from the weekend. John, in the Premier League, Liverpool keeps on keeping on. They've got a 5-point cushion at the top of the table.
Check.
What else stood out to you from the weekend in England?
Nick, how are we supposed to pronounce it?
England.
Thank you.
Where did that come from, by the way? Is that a Chris Berman impression?
No, it's more.
You're going, there's one. Oh, there's another. It's like everything's going to the left of the screen early on, and that was just it literally was mind-blowing that Manchester City put 8 on the board, and Jurgen Klopp actually admitted when he was talked to by the folks at NBCSN, they could have gotten 11 or 12, and they could have. It was that bad. Welcome back, Quique Sanchez Flores, for taking over from Javi Gracia.
Yeah, seriously. We're going to save Manchester United for a second.
Yes, we are.
They need some special attention. La Liga, Barcelona. What in the world is going on with Barcelona? What do they do? Do they fire Valverde?
Yeah, you have to.
They don't like to do these things, though, Nick.
I don't care if you don't like doing it.
They don't like to fire guys mid-season.
I understand. And
I don't think they have in, like...
They're 8th in the table.
I don't know when they did.
They are 8th in the table. You are a
yeah,
team.
but Granada's
3rd.
Sociedad.
They're 4th in the table.
Sevilla, Bilbao, Villarreal, all like valid. But
Atletico is at 6 right now in the table. So yes, it's early, but at the same time, At one point in my life, I was going through some difficult times. And I had to have a friend grab me by the collar and snatch me up and say, you are Nick Alifi. You are not anyone else. You're not better than anyone else. You're not worse than anyone else. But get your life sorted. Somebody needs to do that for Barcelona. And you can't just snatch the crest up and shake it out. You got to make a wholesale change in how you're living. And Barcelona needs to make a wholesale change in how they're living. They got to fire Valverde, and you can bring in whoever you want to be the caretaker manager.
Well, I see. I don't know about that.
Why? What do you have to lose? You're getting waxed.
I think you got to get back to Barcelona football. I think you've got to get somebody who understands it.
But okay, so that's not Valverde.
No, it's definitely not Valverde.
So you're going to have to fire Valverde.
That's the problem. They shouldn't have gone into the season with him. That's where they messed up. I don't think they should have continued. And now it's, do you want to break tradition and move on from him before the year is out?
Right.
Because I'm trying to think. I mean, we see this sometimes on the college side where you have schools that just have that tradition. We're not going to fire somebody midseason. We don't do that sort of thing around here.
Yeah.
Barca might have to.
Yeah. There are just times when tradition has to take a step aside.
They made the mistake on starting the year with him, so now how do they fix it? Because there's not an obvious guy sitting there ready to take it. All of your candidates who I think get it have flaws. You know, Xavi, he started his coaching career. He started his coaching career.
Yeah.
Puyol, same thing. He's barely into a coaching career. Those two guys get what the badge means. Other guys on the outside, like, can manage a team of talent like Barcelona has, but can they get Barcelona back to what Barcelona should be?
And quickly.
That's the question. I don't know. You screwed up the whole year by starting with Valverde.
And this, to me, is where you sit there and you say, okay, and this is where pride kind of has to sit there and you got to put it aside, but I don't know if the Barca front office can do that. Bring in a Puyol, bring in a Xavi, bring them now so they can get adjusted, know that this season's going to be a wash, do the best that you can, and get them acclimated to the system so that next season you've already started the ground running, so it's not just something where it's like, oh, here's the off season. Get the off season, get ready, and then do what you're supposed to be and be what you're supposed to be and get back to normal. Give them a bit of a runway here with the rest of this season whenever you decide that you've got to get rid of Valverde. But the point is that they have to put pride aside to do this, and I don't know if they've got the courage to do it.
If you don't like your physical health, you get on a treadmill. If you don't like being broke, you save your money. And if you're a corporation, which whether you like it or not, that's what Barcelona is, and you're struggling, you have to bite the bullet and you have to make hard choices in life. And that's what they need to do right now. And I'm telling you, you keep Valverde until January, and then you call Dom Torrent, because you call Dom Torrent up, and when you bite the bullet, you're going to have to bite it in prestige because you're having to raid MLS for a manager. Mm-hmm. But if you're Dom Torrent, do you think he's going to end up managing Manchester City? I don't think so.
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon. No.
So if we're waiting for some theoretical time when a major job's going to open up for you, What's a perfect fit for this person? I mean, at some point you have to go to a lower league and grab a coach who you see has potential and who knows your culture and knows your system. And that's Dome to rent. You're not going to get Pep Guardiola back.
Nope.
You're not going to go and get half of these, big name managers to come in because they don't fit your culture. You need someone who has at least cultural roots with you, and that's Dome to rent.
All right, let's. I don't think we're going to solve Barcelona's problems. So let's move over to Italy real quick.
We already have. They just have to listen.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is. Honestly, none of it's pretty. Let's move to Italy and let's save the off the field side for last. Yeah. The on the field side.
Right.
What's going on in Serie A?
Well, the big issue right now is that Inter is. I mean, they're cruising. They're coasting. True to form, Conti is very strong domestically. That has not changed at all. In the Milan derby, Marco Giampaolo, the manager for Milan, is clearly on a hot seat.
Already.
It's not taking long. If not for Donnarumma, and this is not me just talking out the side of my face, it would have been 5-6-0 in that game.
Ugh.
Easily. And there are a few things that show me that there's massive miscommunications. For one thing, Suso on a counterattack is carrying the ball forward. He's weaving. He's doing everything right. And then when it comes to the critical moment, he could have passed out wide either direction and found a player ready, willing, and able to put a shot on goal. And instead, he just gets taken out right there in the box. Gets cleaned right out. Nothing you can do. The fact that you have players who, Rodriguez had his worst game, I think, and he had a back pass to Donnarumma that was almost taken by Lautaro Martinez in for a goal. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And it doesn't help when the manager's making dumb decisions. Biglia over Benacer, that's idiotic. Lucas Paqueta, because you're in some sort of spat with him, you fine him, and he comes off the bench. And now he picked up a thigh injury, so he's probably going to miss the Fiorentina game. But there's so much wrong with this Milan side right now. And they have talent. And I believe in giving managers time. I do. I mean, was that not one of the people carrying the flag of, back off the boar?
Yeah.
Give them time?
Yeah.
Yep.
But the difference is that there is such a discombobulation. He can't pick a formation he wants to run with. His system doesn't look like it makes any sort of sense. The players do not look comfortable at all.
Is he in over his head?
I think he's in over his head. He previously managed at Sampdoria, and he knows how he was known as a steady hand there.
Right.
So it's not like he's a guy who's easily shaken. I just think that he's looking at the job overall, and I think it's getting to him. And so that's why I say he's over his head.
Is he overthinking things?
Yes, and yes. And do I think it can be solved quickly? No, I don't believe so. And the concern here is that you're in 12th in the table. You are officially 3 points out of the relegation zone.
Wow.
And yes, it is early in the season. But, when you're talking about a team like AC Milan, you are a brand, and you have to make decisions like a brand. And as a result of that, I think that you have to give him to January just to try to see if something happens. You don't want to pull the trigger right now. You're not going to make Europe.
Do you go get Jose Mourinho?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because all you need is stability right now.
Yeah.
I need stability and survival.
I need stability, and I need a top 4 finish. And
I wonder if Jose would take it.
I think he would. Because Inter didn't call him.
No, there you go. Yeah, that's true.
Inter didn't call him. Inter called Conti instead and left him sitting on the sideline. And if you are, if you're Maldini and you're Ivan Gazidis, I make the call and I say, hey, your boys in blue and black didn't call you. We're calling you.
Yeah.
Come here and save this team. And I think that's what Jose's waiting on. He's waiting to be a savior. He wants to be viewed in that light. He loved being the person to come save Man United. He loved being the
and
person.
And you get to stick it to blue and black at the same time.
Yeah,
exactly.
His comments about taking teams that are damaged and things was pretty interesting because he is that guy. He's not the one to come in with like this big vision and expansive game plan and tactics.
No.
He comes in to fix a broken situation. And it kind of feels like it might be a broken situation.
It is a broken situation. Now, there's there's talks that Milan may be for sale. Which
hasn't that been going on for like 5 years?
Well, they're owned by a vulture hedge fund, so yeah. But at the same time, you know, it's going to happen. I hope to God it goes to the right group or the right owner. But until it does, it's a broken situation because it's a caretaker ownership. They're just trying to build value. They have to figure out who they want to be. If it's top 4 this year, if that's our mark, you're failing miserably.
Yes.
If it's just remain stable and slowly build, and we're looking at Europe in 2 years, you're okay, take your time. But everything that's been told to the Milan faithful is that it's Champions League now. We have nothing else. You have no Euro competition to slow you down or to distract you or to burn minutes on. You got to do something.
Yeah.
And if you go to January and the results aren't there, I'm sorry. Gianpaolo's got to go. You bring in Jose Mourinho, which will make my guts turn 6 ways to Sunday. It's a deal with the devil, but
you got to make the decision, I think, in fairly early in December. Because then you can get somebody in, they can explore what they might want to do in a transfer market in January. If there's anything out there, if they can move somebody to bring in some cash, whatever, they can maybe find something that'll help them.
Moving for cash is the only thing they can do right now.
Yeah, you've got to move somebody to bring somebody.
Because they are shackled by financial fair play right now.
Right.
So,
but that's I think you want to give somebody at least the opportunity to do that if it comes down to it.
Right.
There was another off-the-field incident in Italy, and it's something that it keeps coming up, and every time I retweet something about it, I get a lot of people who say, oh, well, I'll never watch Serie A again. Okay, never watching a game from Italy again. I'm the opposite. I want to watch this league because I think it is a league with a ton of potential. There's a lot of great storylines in it. And I also want this crap to change.
Yeah.
Like, just flat out. I want to keep calling it out because it's just sad and pathetic. And it happened in Fiorentina and Atalanta, and the match was stopped.
And good on the center ref for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the issue, though, guys, is that the center ref stopped it, right? He blew the whistle. They made the announcement. The announcement was met with boos and whistles. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, unless I have my soccer geography, football geography all over the place, but the center ref's in the middle of the park, right?
Last time I checked.
Center of the pitch. Yeah. That's why they call him the center ref. And typically the manager is to the side closer to the supporters, correct?
Right.
Okay, right. So, Gianpiero Gasparini, he said regarding the racism that I didn't hear any chant, at least from where we were, we heard nothing. I even asked the Fiorentina coach, Montella, who he implies did not hear anything as well.
Right.
Then a couple of idiots were on the side of the stadium saying something to Dalbert. Okay. But then again, do you know how many serious insults from individuals there are in stadiums, Florence included, when you play there? I don't think there were chants. Chants are something else. Oh. So it's a small segment of people who are chanting vile and horrible things.
And it's not racism either.
No, apparently
We're
not.
just trying to get you off your game.
Yeah, just getting off the game, I guess. So, which means it should be easier to handle. Oh, it's only a few knuckleheads. Great. Send security over, chuck them out of the stadium, give them lifetime bans, and send a signal.
Look, that's what the Utah Royals did because this happened in an NWSL match to Adriana Franch of the U.S. Women's National Team. And the Utah Royals acted quickly. The fan is banned from attending games, period. Flat out. Can't attend games anywhere in the league. Can't attend games in Utah.
Love that.
Done.
Here's the thing. They blew the whistle. They stopped the game. The chanting stopped. Though they booed, though the Atalanta fans whistled, the chanting stopped. It works.
Yes, exactly.
Culturally, you're not solving the problem. Still, you have to deal with the fact on some level when you go home at night as a team president that, yes, we have a bunch of racist idiots in the stands that we need to find and root out.
Mm-hmm.
From a federation standpoint, there's a reason why the Premier League makes so much money, and I have to watch my words because my beautiful 2-year-old daughter's listening at home. Hi, Charlotte. Daddy loves you. But that league broadcasts worldwide, amazing media deals, cash rolls in. Serie A wants that. But there's a segment of the globe that is not remotely interested in the mess you're selling, judging by what I'm seeing on Twitter anytime this happens.
Every time I tweet something about it, I get
time.
at least 5 people saying I'll never watch the league again.
Yep.
Every time. I get DMs, I get ats. Well, we're not watching Serie A anymore. Sorry, Nick. You know, as I've said before, I have challenges wanting to do the show because I don't want to deal with this crap. Because my love of soccer came with Serie A, and this is driving me away from it. But if the federation comes in, if Nick's in charge of the federation, it's this. Okay, the racial stuff happens, we blow the whistle, you get one warning and only one warning. After that, the whistle's blown, game stops, all the fans are booted out.
Yep.
And it's closed-door match. Because then you take care of the group that says, well, then you're going to have opposing fans come in and make racial comments.
That argument.
And they're going to cause a stoppage, and it costs us points. Okay, great. We will handle it. We have time today. Booting all your people out, so then all your money goes to zilch for the rest of the game, and you have to play your next game, empty stadium. So you're losing a game and a half of rev. That's fine, because that's the only thing these owners understand is money. That's the only thing the league understands is money. I wish ESPN Plus would say we're canceling the deal.
Yeah.
You have to make choices in this world. And if you want your brand to be that you're a loudmouth, racist, idiot supporter, it's not too difficult to do that. Either by 1, proclaiming that, or 2, allowing it. And it looks like Serie A is allowing it.
ESPN Plus, it'd be great to see them say, we're not going to carry games from these stadiums.
Yep.
Or we're not going to put them on our air.
Yep.
That would be the way I would handle it. Don't punish the rest of the league for a couple teams that won't do their jobs.
No, I disagree. I think you got it because the league.
You're going to blow the.
Well, that's a later step for me.
Yeah.
You got to make some intermediary
Start
steps.
with the individual clubs. Basically, ban them from the air.
Yeah.
And then, if nothing is done by the league and it's still maintained to be a systemic issue, then all right, ESPN Plus says, "Yeah, fam, we're done."
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, and I hate talking about it every week, and it feels like we have to talk about it every week.
But I would
because
rather
it comes
talk
up.
about it every week.
Same.
And continue
I don't
to
want to
hammer
ignore it.
home the point of how stupid this is, and how you need to just. I mean, and I'm incredulous in knowing that you have a 2-year-old at home who Daddy loves you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to mince my words here and be diplomatic about it, knowing the audience that it could be here. Get over yourself, fix the issue, and if you're not going to fix the issue, then the rest of us will do our way to isolate you and get your racism. It's like, you want to be racist? Cool. Go be racist over here. We're not going to have anything to do with it.
Yep. Well,
And the only thing that will affect that is the pocketbook.
That's it. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Remember, there was a time when they said, oh, there's hooliganism in England. There's hooliganism in England. We can't fix it. It's cultural. It's cultural. The guys show up to the games. They're nuts. They beat each other up. They throw darts at players. We can't do anything about it. Sorry. They've by and large, they've solved it.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, look, and I think clubs realize this, and I think your average person realizes it. Idiots drink too much and do other things and act stupid in public sometimes. It happens.
Yeah.
And that doesn't reflect a whole fan base.
No.
But when you get these types of things happening consistently, that's an issue. And that's what has to get corrected. And I'm really hopeful that the more people talk about it, the more pressure is put on to correct it.
And this was one of the things that you and I talked about when you had your very deep missive about your concerns about Serie A.
Right.
That one of the things that, with your concerns, what we should do then on a weekly basis is what we're talking about right here with Jason right now, is to attack it journalistically, to expose it for what it is, expose it for the stupidity for what it is, and continue to shine the light on it. Yes, I know it takes away from the enjoyment of the league, enjoyment of the teams, enjoyment of the players and the environments, but sometimes if something's stupid, you got to show it for being stupid and sit there. Okay, here's a mirror. Here's how stupid you are.
But part of me believes in deplatforming. I believe deplatforming works, and that's what I'm. from what I see in today's world, I believe deplatforming works.
Yeah, no, I'm with
And
you.
so-
I think it does. I'd like to escalate
Yeah.
to that instead of just immediately jumping there.
No, I'm with you. I get
It's
it.
tough.
I get it. It's
There's
hard.
no perfect way, and I hope it's something that, again, we're going to keep pointing it out when it happens because we don't want to talk about it every week.
Because you guys know what's great? Roma, right? Roma has one of the best social media accounts going.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they've done a thing where when they announce transfers, they have a split screen, and it shows a missing child.
Yeah.
And worldwide, kids in North America, kids in Europe, kids in Africa, and they found children
Yep.
through this.
Love that.
And that's what we should be talking about, this positive, awesome thing.
There's lots of great things about Syria.
Yeah, and instead they're like, how quickly can we pull a bazooka out and blow our lower leg off and just kill all these good vibes?
Yeah.
How can we do it? Let's see. Let's put a clock on it. Let's see how quickly we can do
Over
this.
under
Oh,
on number of
Ay,
days.
Dios
it's the
mío.
Atalanta game. Let's see how this works out. And that's where we are. It's,
Ay,
so,
ay,
it's
ay.
so dumb.
All right.
Let's change topics. I
We're,
want to have
we're
fun.
at halftime. You want to do QOD?
No, we still have a little Manchester United to talk about.
All right.
Let's do that, and that'll lead us to the question of the day.
All right.
So, the Red Devils are not exactly...
They're not.
They're not. They're not a lot of things right now. We talked about it a lot last year with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer taking over and the great run as the interim, and they had to give him the job, and they did, and it's not been what it was.
No.
There's bigger issues than the manager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the problem.
Nope.
I don't know if he's the solution, but I don't think he's the problem right now. And I think in some ways he's getting too much stick for it. There was a really good segment as I was kind of digging into this. I've felt like Manchester United has went through a little bit of what Barcelona is going through now in terms of losing their way.
Yeah.
They are not what they used to be. Like the Manchester United way
Yeah.
that, in their case, Alex Ferguson really created and honed.
Right.
That's gone. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they believe in. I don't know what their style of play needs to be. I don't know who they are as a club. I don't know what their personality is anymore. One thing they always did that I think they did really well was bring through young players. And there was a great segment on Sky Sports on Monday Night Football. I think it was, honestly, from a little bit ago. But Neville talked about comparing one of the teams when he came in to the Manchester United team with how Manchester United looks now. And you've got, honestly, about the same number of young players then and now. But the difference then was you had Pallister, you had May, you had Cantona, you had veterans in the spine of the team that the young players could lean on when things got rough. Now, who are you leaning on? Who is the core? Who's the spine? Who is the epitome of Manchester United right now? I have no idea.
None. Zero.
Ashley Young?
Yeah.
I mean,
here's their lineup. Here's their 18 against West Ham, and I'll blow through it. De Gea, here's your starting 11. De Gea, Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Ashley Young, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who they spent a boatload of money on to get from Crystal Palace. Mata, Pereira, Daniel James, who they dropped $22 million to get from Swansea. Nemanja Matic, Scott McTominay, who's come through their system.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford, subs. Sergio Romero, Marcus Rojo, Twanzebe, Lingard, Fred, who they dropped a boatload of money on, and he has been on. He's gotten a seat named after him on the bench. They spent like $65 million from Shakhtar to bring him in, and he has done less than nothing. Angel Gomez and Tahith Chong. That was your 18 against West Ham.
So when you look at a team and you look at a core,
Huh.
they don't have one.
Nope.
And they've signed some young players, and they've got a couple who have come through their system and come up there. And you sign others, and that's fine. I mean, that's what, Ajax doesn't develop every single player that comes through. They'll sign guys at 17, 18, 19.
But you know what Ajax is bringing to the table.
But you have a core. Even Ajax, who their whole system is bringing up young players. They bring in a daily blend. They bring in a veteran to be the mentor for those young guys. Atlanta United from day one, you went out and got Michael Parker, so you went out and got Jeff Larentowicz to be mentors for the young players coming through. Bringing young players through is great, and you're bringing through about the same number of young professionals as you have in the past. You just have zero core. I don't I think anybody could be in charge of that team right now, and they're going to have the same results.
Agreed.
Correct.
I think the problems are so much bigger. And
Systemic.
Mourinho was asked yesterday by Samuel Luckhurst of the Manchester Evening News, what is Manchester United missing? Now, he might have a little bit of blame in this too,
Right.
but he said, in this moment, everything.
What you have right now is a power vacuum. And previously, you had a team that ran on a cult of personality. Remember Fergie time? Right?
Yeah.
Everything was Sir Alex Ferguson.
Well, even beyond that, you had Ferguson. You had, in the first go-round, you had Paul Ince. You had Kanchelskis.
Right.
Then you get to Roy Keane. Then you have Cantona there. Then you get later on, you have guys like Rooney, like Van Nistelrooy,
Right.
like Berbatov.
Yes.
Like Van Persie when you bring him in. You have seasoned professionals that set the bar and set the example. And you can bring young guys in to support them. Right now, you have nothing.
But the thing is, though, is that Fergie was a person who could keep outside influences at bay. He could keep you focused. Because you listed a zoo of names, but it takes a personality to control those forces.
The consistency is the manager. You're never going to have that again.
No. And you will not have that again. You will have great players come through. Paul Pogba is a great player, but there's no one there to help guide him and direct him.
He's not a core piece. I don't think he's the guy. Like, he's not.
He's a shiny object.
The Keane, the Cantona. Right. He can be a supportive guy in that scenario, but he's not the guy.
But there's no one there to marshal these forces in a single direction. And when you think about that, Jose Mourinho is about as close as you're going to get, and you can't blow up the whole team. Soccer doesn't work that way.
No.
I mean, you have to try to move them.
And Jose couldn't do it.
No. Jose Mourinho could get that team to where they needed to go. And they are, but they're missing that. There's a power vacuum there. And in a power vacuum, you will have numerous little factions pop up.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're seeing right now with Man United, is you're seeing numerous little factions pop up. If you go to Gillette Stadium and you walk in the media entrance, you've been at Gillette Stadium. If you go over to where they keep the vendor carts, there's a sign right above it. It says, do your job. Mm-hmm. And if you go over to the on-field staff, it says, do your job. There's a core drive at that stadium. Within the whole organization, it permeates all the way down to the janitor. Do your job. There's no one there to implement that culture. Who are you going to go to? Ed Woodward? Woodward is going to implement that culture?
It's gone.
The fact that we can even say that man's name tells you that something's wrong. Name me 5 sporting directors at major clubs. You're going to struggle to probably find those names. But we can all go, Ed Woodward, because he puts himself out there. We have another quarter of record profits here in Manchester United.
And that's the thing that's crazy about it, is when you don't have that manager who's been there for 20 years, like Ferguson or Arsene Wenger, and you don't have the core player side right now, the most important person who will be there the longest is that type of person, whatever they are in the club. And every club has it different. It's a CEO, it's a technical director, it's a director of soccer, whatever it is. That person is the one who builds it. And right now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has nothing to work with that makes sense. He's got a bunch of different parts that don't fit together. He's got the Lincoln logs that don't fit together. He's got the Ewok Village toy set that's missing the Ewoks. All right? He's got problems making this thing work.
Death Star together and the pieces don't.
Sorry, I had flashbacks to my childhood. Sorry.
Are they missing a few speeders on the Ewok?
They're missing the trees on the side. The thing's leaning over. It's a mess.
The bridge. They got the bridge. They're missing the bridge connector.
The Tyco train set that doesn't have like all of the train tracks that fit. It goes off in different directions.
Yes,
it doesn't link together.
Yes.
It just goes off into a dead end. That's Manchester United right now.
I'm ready to blow up my mentions. I think the fact that Manchester United is in 8th is really a testament to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, no
because
doubt.
They should be farther down the table than that. If you're a Man United fan, I'm sorry. I love you dearly, but what about this team rings out to you?
Nothing.
When they were the only time it looked like West Ham had any sort of trouble at all is when they were in transition, because the minute they set up and they're attacking third, it looked like Man United's defense just went like pew and just shut off. They were stagnant, like they didn't know. Like on Talladega Nights, like I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I felt like that was their defense. Like they're like, what am I supposed to do? Stop the guy with the ball. Oh, it was just absurd to me.
I mean, De Gea is a great goalkeeper. Maguire, you paid a lot.
Yep.
He should be somewhat close to that. Wan-Bissaka is a good signing. I've always liked Juan Mata. He's back from the wilderness. Now he's actually playing. Daniel James, good signing. I like Rashford a lot. But it doesn't feel like a strong core.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to build around, and that's the biggest problem here. And that's what gets us to the Musing Monday question.
Musing Monday.
We're trying new segments here on Soccer Over There, and we're going to keep throwing things at you and see what sticks.
Let's go.
We are the Manchester United of shows talking about soccer.
But we're better.
No steel, just disparate pieces. thrown
Right
together.
now, it's just pieces. It's just throwing things at the wall, and we see what sticks.
What's going to work?
Yeah, we'll see what works. All right, we're going to see if Wan-Bissaka has a big day for us today. The Musing Monday question
Let's go.
is if you were building a squad, and you can take this however you want to take it, what elements do you prioritize when you are building a squad? What elements would you start with? What are you looking at? Like, I've got to have X, Y, Z. I've got to have these things to make it work. That's what I think some teams, and it's a little bit of a recurring theme when it comes to Barcelona and it comes to Manchester United, that we're seeing right now is that it's not easy to do this. And I think the best clubs are able to do it and repeat it. That's the hard thing. Some just don't get it. We've had a couple answers from the question. Our friend Sapun Dura said, quick forwards and a creative midfield.
Okay.
Good with that. I mean, because you have to have an idea of how you want to play.
Right.
And when you have players like that, that's kind of leading you down a certain way to play. All right. You can build from there. That makes sense. If that's where your priorities start,
But I
good.
think that Sapoon's point on a larger scale, have an idea about what you want to do first. Instead of just sitting there saying, ooh, shiny object, ooh, shiny object, ooh, shiny object.
Well, Real Madrid won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Could you tell me anything about tactically what they did? Because it didn't matter.
No.
They were tactically flexible.
It was very flexible.
And
Ancelotti has been another one who has done
Ancelotti.
great with just not really any consistent tactics.
And that's what I would go for. I would go for flexibility with a strong defense. I need players. It's easier for me to
So that's
find.
where you start
Yeah.
is defense.
Yeah,
Not surprised.
Yeah, because if the weather's bad, if I have a lineman who's not, on his game, I get a bunch of offsides calls. Look, a strong defense can travel.
Yeah.
Defense can travel. It's cheaper to build, and I can develop forwards. I can develop midfielders.
Mm-hmm. Give me a solid defense and a guy between the sticks who's solid to count on. Give me a fantastic keeper and a solid defense, because last time I checked, if the guy's coming at you, don't put anything behind the keeper. You're at least getting out of the point every single time.
Five Stripe Daily chimed in and had a few different pieces. A dedicated 6 that covers a lot of ground, strong in the tackle. Pace and distribution in the fullbacks.
Yeah.
Pace and technique in the attacking 4. Veteran leadership in the center backs. And they said, starting to sound a lot like Atlanta United.
Hey,
Which, yeah, absolutely.
You're winning a title. That's
For
fine.
me, it's the spine. I'm looking at the spine of the team. If I'm going into an MLS expansion year and I'm like, all right, how am I going to build this team with a blank board over here?
Whiteboard Chronicles.
I want a goalkeeper.
Yep.
I want a center back. I want a 6. I want a creator, and I want a striker. Like, those are my first 5. That's my core. That's what I want to build around. I can get a little experimental. I can bring in youth. I can try things around that. If my spine is strong, I'm going to win more than I lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, are we looking at this from a Euro side, or are we looking at this from an MLS
Any which way you want.
Let's say that you go
I think that translates. I think a strong spine translates anywhere in the world.
If you're running the Alifi team into expansion leagues R Us,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
If I'm doing, I'll take it from the MLS standpoint, because I have to, because it is different to build with through MLS because of the salary constraints that you have. In that case, I'm going to go for goal scorers off the bat because in this league, you got to be able to score goals. Defenders as across the board are not the strongest in the world, obviously.
Yep, money's being spent on the attack.
And I have 3 DP slots that I can go and get attacking talent to help get that explosive midfield, that quality.
You could wait 2
player.
years and you probably end up with a 4th DP.
Maybe.
Perhaps, but
you get 3 DPs. What positions are you going to fill them?
Oh, I'm going a striker. Then I'm going to go with a true playmaker, a true 10.
Okay.
Because you got to pay for those. And then for my my third DP, I'm going to go another attacker, and then I'll go Tam across on the back and develop.
If the right center back is out there for me, I'm not going to be opposed to it.
Right.
But I would go striker for sure as one of your DPs. I think you have to in this league. And maybe not playmaker, but central midfielder that can be, whether it's my creator or my engine, the central midfielder that can define my team.
I can't make an engine a DP player.
If it's the right one, I can.
You're going to have to do some serious scouting.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to find the right person.
Yeah.
And it could be, because let's be real, Miguel Almiron was that player.
Yes.
He became more of the attacking player, but when he was brought here, he was the engine.
Yeah.
And he was that guy, and it paid off. But you were able to see that he can be more than what he is. He can do more. We're going to develop that side of him.
So to go back to John's question here, allow me to further refine my answer and say that I would start off with a killer scouting department and strong analytics department, and then go and find my players.
There you go.
Because that's what I need to know. If I need to go find a kid in Bolivia who can come to MLS and wreck the planet, who I can then sell for 25, 30 mil.
Yeah.
Amen. Let's do that.
Backroom scouting department, analytics. That's where I'm investing first.
Why not? Because if you look around this league, you see a lot of teams that should be calling Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Facility saying, hey, guys, how much for your scouting department? Can I get any of them?
Well, that's the thing is you have teams in this league that don't have a scouting department like this. They might have a guy.
Yeah.
Right.
They might have a dude in a trench coat somewhere.
Well,
that's it. That's the scouting department. And they rely on their Rolodex because they're still in those days.
There's a lot of teams in this league that have not won championships as well.
Mm-hmm. And the teams that are now, and the teams that are at the top of the table, are the ones who are investing in that side of building a squad.
And see, that's one thing that I think MLS is a league, since they are, it's single entity league.
Yep.
If you really want to improve the quality, Mr. Soccer Don, Mr. Garber, you should take it out of the hands of some of the quote-unquote owners and say, here is X amount of allowance for you to go and get a true, legitimate scouting department. Because if you had teams that could across the board go and find Miguel Almiron or Ezequiel Barco or Tito Villalba, any of these guys,
Brian Rodriguez,
and bring them up. And you're talking about the Minnesotas of the world. You're talking about the Real Salt Lakes of the world. That rising tide lifts all ships, right? Instead, right now you have a few that are kind of spiking, and a bunch of also.
See, that's a tough one, because then you get into even more of a what separates teams. If you have a common scouting department, then what are the differences?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have different people who evaluate it differently. Like, basically, it's creating a database. But I think what Don Garber did in creating TAM, and what the league did in creating TAM, was kind of the stepping stone to that. Where it was basically like, we're going to give you money to invest, but you're going to have to use it in this way.
Yeah.
Only this way. You're not going to go sign a goalkeeper for $3 million like one club in Colorado did and think that's a good, smart usage of money.
Legendary legend.
He's a legendary legend, but it was a bad source of cash. So TAM has been able to do that. But let's take it broader than just the MLS conversation. Building a squad. You touched on something beyond just the field and building a scouting department. what else goes into building a club that you would prioritize? If you're Manchester United, if you're Barcelona, and you've lost your way, the other, you are losing your way, or you're into a new situation with, we see the billionaires buying clubs all the time, and you get to kind of start from a blank slate. Somebody, you win the Powerball for $5 billion, and you go buy Bolton.
See,
what do you do?
Start young. Start with the academy. Build my base that way in addition to everything. I want facilities. I want youth. I want academies. I want a future in addition to building. So you're basically building from two different tracks.
There was a really good point about Barcelona and Tifo Football, which is a great resource if you're not subscribed to them on YouTube. They had a great point in the way that Barcelona used to develop their talent. You have Barcelona B, you have a U19, you have a U18 team. Right now, they have too many players on all of them. So you've got players who are very good players, but they're not getting playing time. They're not developing. You don't know what they could be. They're not loaning players out. They're not doing that stuff. But the biggest thing they used to do, and this is when Pep came into the Barcelona B team that had been relegated to the 4th division at that point, he made an initiative to create something that he called for that team foundational players. So where your academy didn't produce a right winger, for example, he'd go out and get one for the 3rd division that was a good player, maybe a 2nd division player. Go get him to help the group along. But that was never seen as long-term. Those players were brought in for a year, 2 years, moved on. It was to bring them in to raise the level and then buy. And your players who could step up the level, cool. The other ones, buy. You have to cycle.
Right.
Because you can't have a U18, a U19 team, a B team, and a first team and keep everybody in the same spots. And that's what Barcelona's done. They're not cycling through talent.
No.
They hit these roadblocks where guys have been there and been there and been there, and guys who shouldn't be there are still there.
Who's the modern-day Barcelona built off of? What's the same model that they were built off of?
What's that?
What's the model that they followed?
La Masia? The academy side, La Masia?
Yeah.
I mean, it was all the Dutch Ajax system.
Okay. And what's Ajax still doing?
They cycle.
Okay. The machine is broken in Barcelona.
It's not, but what Ajax does really well is twofold, because I think it's easy to look at, De Jong, De Ligt, and the big-time guys moving on and bringing money in. But it's the guys who are in the Ajax U19 or Ajax reserve squad that are good, but not Ajax. They're not that good. They're moved on, and they're moved on at the right time for them, so that player can go find another spot where they can play. They can go to a lesser club in the Netherlands. They could go to Belgium. They could go to a different place, make a living as a professional player that developed at Ajax,
right.
But that creates a spot for another player to come into. That's the key.
And I think what makes MLS very attractive, if you're one of these guys with money who wants to come in, is you could be like a Chicago Fire. And you can blow that team up.
Yep.
And you can move them. And you can do whatever. Like moving from, darn near Toronto to come into the city and actually, have access to, functional public transportation. And you can build your squad and build scouting and find talent and do these things. And that's why if I had to invest my money anywhere in the world in building a team, I would start with MLS, because there is a hotbed of talent here that has not been properly scouted. U.S. Soccer, I'm looking at you. There are still these arcane rules in effect to who can go where and how.
Yep.
How long has Chicago been neglecting their youth system? I mean,
they let Andrew Gutman go to Celtic instead of signing him.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Celtic, and then he's loaned to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but it's a league where you can come in. There's parity. There aren't 15 glass ceilings on the way to a top four like there are with Serie A or with La Liga.
Right.
Because at some point La Liga is going to straighten out. At some point, theoretically, that league's going to straighten out. Same with the Prem. Maybe, but especially with the Prem.
Yeah.
If you think Watford's got a long way to go to the top, I mean, you can't just dump cash into it and get it going.
No, money doesn't always solve it. That's what's tricky about it.
But a $60 million training facility goes a long way.
Those are the things where money can solve things.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so if if I'm an owner who comes in, I can get a scout. I can dump cash and get quality scouting. I can dump cash into an insane training facility. I have, as a billionaire, the ability to get on a jet. Hey, Roman, I'm going to come check out Chelsea today.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Man City, can I come and check you guys out? I can do all these things and come back and be like, we're going to do all this and better, right? I can invest my cash and dump cash into that and then build.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this league.
Yeah.
Is that I can do that and it's no problem. And financial fair play, I don't have to worry about that.
No.
I have a cap, which is
You
fine.
have things you have to worry about.
But infrastructure, you can drop
you
whatever
can go wherever you want with it.
Anything I want with it.
All right, we've got a couple questions we've got to get into on soccer over there. The first one from our friend John Roper. How crazy will the Copa Libertadores game between River and Boca be?
Yes.
5 Fanatis now if you don't have it.
Well, if you have BN, you can watch the Libertadores game there, but good grief. I mean, I was watching Teisei this morning.
Is there a morning when you don't watch Teisei?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll go, if I want to see what's going on in Mexico, I'll go over to 2DN and have that show
That's
on
usually
during
where I
SDH.
am,
But I like to see what's going on in Teisei, and they had the countdown clock to game 1. 8 days. They had hours, minutes, seconds.
That's awesome.
For the first game of this, because it is going to be bonkers. Just, look, I hope that it's bonkers on the field.
Yeah,
I hope
not
that it's
bonkers where you're having to move the game halfway around the world.
Yes, I want it to be a fun celebration of two great clubs and a great tournament, and what the Copa Libertadores can be and what Boca and River can be. We talked about it this morning just a little bit. It's not a surprise, and it's not by accident that there were a large number of River Barra Brava leaders arrested this weekend. Mm-hmm. Not a shock that happened 8 days before leg 1.
I see that you're wearing an orange shirt, sir. Could you please come with me?
Yep.
Because that's what I'm doing. If I'm the cops anywhere where I see a River Boca Junior, they're getting questioned about something.
The River Barra Brava has had some serious issues, and there were a lot of things under the radar last year that the reason the bus got attacked and how the bus got attacked is the Barra Bravas of River, and that River had cracked down on counterfeit tickets, which is where the Barra Bravas make a lot of money.
Yep.
The club cracked down on it. They said, oh, you want to crack down on us? Okay. We're going to mess up your party.
And we've had a conversation, really off the air, we had a large conversation about ultras in Serie A, and it's really the same thing. The ultras in Serie A do the same thing, where the team gives them a certain amount of tickets that they then sell at an absurd markup, and that helps fund, that's the seed cash for a lot of their nefarious operations around the stadium.
Allegedly.
We call them for-profit community organizers. And the for-profit community organizers, otherwise known as ultras, anytime you try to mess with that ticket allotment, protection around the stadium goes away, and then muggings go up, and then
this is kind of like, I don't know, I'm not kind of feeling it today.
It's so unfortunate that these tourists got mugged and beaten. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's a part of the game that has to be more regulated. The teams, if you are the federation and you see that teams are giving out X amount of discounted or free tickets, you don't do this publicly, but quietly you pull them aside and like, guys, do you understand the situation that you're feeding right now? I mean, I'm sure we all know what's really happening, but why don't we start trying to slowly and incrementally dial this back? Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you end up with stuff like you had with the last Copa Libertadores, where you have bricks and tear gas and everything else getting launched at buses. I mean, the ultras, the Barra Bravas, they don't care. It's money. It's a business. You can say it's passion, passion, passion all day long. It's passion for the money in their pockets. You know, if I can make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 as a capo, 6 figures if you're a high-level Serie A capo, and you're telling me you're going to cut into my money?
Nah, fam.
No. It's bricks through windows and Molotov cocktails.
So River is struggling a little bit with kind of who they are at the moment. And a lot of that is because their talisman, Pity Martinez, is here in Atlanta. And Juan Fernando Quintero has been injured. They are not at the top of the table right now. Boca is. Boca has been the best team in Argentina so far. 5-0-2 on the season. They haven't conceded a goal in 7 matches. River's in 10th. They're 3-2-2.
Wow.
Good defense. They've only conceded 5, and they've scored 15. Boca's not scoring a bunch of goals right now. They've got 8 in 7 matches, but they're undefeated. They're getting a lot of 1-0s.
Do you know who's not at the bottom of the table anymore?
I know who is not
That's
at the
right.
bottom of the table.
Defensa y Justicia.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've only lost 1 of their last 4.
Hey,
They're coming back.
we're coming back, baby. Don't call
Coming
it a
back.
comeback. It's going to happen. We're going to get there.
Don't call it a comeback.
So I want to share this with you about River. So River lost to Vélez over the weekend, and it was a little bit of a shock, and there was a lot of talk about Gallardo and what's going on with River Plate. One of the shows on TIC that I watch has a grumpy panelist, very grumpy old man panelist. Horacio Pagani. He's the one who took his shirt off to say that De Rossi was out of shape. He said, talking about this game, he said it was one of the worst games he's ever seen because it was all about running. There was no skill. There was no talent in it. It was all about running and all that. And he said the managers and the donkey journalists who say you have to run are killing the game.
Wow.
The donkey journalist?
Donkey
Yes.
journalist?
That's amazing.
Yes. Los periodistas burros.
I have to remember that.
All right. Okay.
I don't want to be a donkey journalist, Nick.
No.
No, I don't think anybody wants to be a donkey journalist.
I celebrate the beauty of the game.
That's right.
That you don't just have to run.
No. I'm a donkey journalist.
I don't think you're a donkey
I'll
journalist.
Be a donkey journalist.
No,
That's fine.
you're not a donkey journalist. You
I'll
like
take
the
it.
skill. You like the flair.
I like the beautiful
All right.
game.
Well, look, I'm a believer that bunker encounter works. I'm there.
So you can be a little bit of a donkey.
But you're not Pablo Mastroeni, though.
Well, at the same time, though, look, I'm a person who believes that you don't do anything half donkey. You have to go full donkey.
You go
if you're
full
gonna
donkey.
go.
Full donkey, yeah.
Whether you think you're a full donkey or not, you better go full donkey to make something count.
Never go half donkey.
That's
No.
right. Never go half donkey in anything you do.
Fair enough.
That's my TED Talk. Thanks for
Understood.
coming.
Yes.
Words to live by. All right, we've got another question from John, and we're going to have to get the birthday girl up to get
Yeah,
her
we
chiming
are.
in on some of this.
Yes.
When she can make her way up here, we will get Jess up here
when
to
she
chime in
can-
on this one because this is a good one.
She's walled in. I don't know if
Yes,
she can
she
get
is.
out.
Yes,
That's a
she
tough
might
one.
have to climb over the table. I don't know how she's going to do it, but she'll be up here eventually. John asked, who's the next captain of Atlanta United? Lorenowitz, Gazan, LGP are the 3 nominees that John has put on the table.
LGP.
LGP, I don't want to keep her as a consistent captain.
I think Brad's done a really good job in that role, and I think when he has the armband, he does a good job with it. But I don't like goalkeepers as captains either. I'm sure this goalkeeper is
what?
going to have a problem.
What was that? You
All
don't
right,
like goalkeepers
you-
being captains?
Coming in hot, I'm going to have to dial it down a little bit.
I think I was a bit shocked about what you said there.
I like my captain to be on the field.
But the goalkeeper has the most vision on the field. So I think what you have when you have a goalkeeper is you have a different perspective of the game.
True.
So the goalkeeper is
True.
behind everything. They can see all the movement. And as we saw at Parkhurst, yes, maybe an extra on-field captain, but a captain is so much more than just the in-game leadership. It's about off the field. It's about being a role model. It's being about in the dressing room. And I think Guzan offers that with his experience.
Absolutely. He's
So
been
I
that.
potentially, again, it's a very American thing, but there's nothing wrong with having 2 captains. Maybe
Yeah.
you have the on-field captain. I don't think LGP's captain. I wouldn't really approve of his.
See, but here's the thing, and this is something that comes up a lot. Like, Brad, I don't know if he needs the armband to do those things. Mm-hmm. If you give the armband to Leandro Gonzalez Perez, does the other stuff kind of get dialed down a little bit because he's got a different level of responsibility? Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, but you also see it on a flip side where sometimes when you add a captaincy, it changes them in a negative way.
It can.
And it adds that extra source of pressure where they don't perform in the same way. LGP, do we want to dial him down? Yes, I find it frustrating how many cards he picks up. Yes, I find it frustrating sometimes the way he, dissent and stuff like that. But it's part of who he is as a player, and it's part of what makes him LGP.
Do you think that the refs will be a little slower on pulling the cards if he's wearing the armband?
That's a good one because I think captains obviously get that little bit of leeway when it comes with speaking to the referee. They have that extra communication, but at the same time, we don't hear always what he's saying to the referee, so I still think he would have to approach it with a level of respect because there's one thing talking to the referee as the captain, there's another thing yelling at the referee as a captain.
True, and I think that's something that he's going to have to address anyway, and I think that's something that Carlos is going to... Let's say that in this land of make-believe that Leandro's the guy who gets picked, right? I think Carlos pulls him aside and says, Leandro, you are a leader on this team, but I swear to God, if we hand you this armband and you don't shut your mouth on the field, we're going to yank it, and we're going to ship you to Uzbekistan, and we're going to sell you for like $200,000, so we're still going to make some money at the end of the day. So don't... It's almost like that scene in Scarface, right? Like, don't mess with me, Tony. I think that's it. I think it's that moment where essentially he has to have that conversation, and I think it could work for him.
I would like it
negatively.
to mature him. I would like it to mature him. I think that when you look at LGP, he has so much potential as a player. Mm-hmm. He's a fantastic defender. He's got good spirit. He tries hard all the time. But it is that sort of mental side of his game that does need improving. So potentially it is the captaincy that offers him that stability and that responsibility. But I still think he could learn a lot from Guzan, and that's where I see Guzan being a club captain.
Right.
And maybe that's separate from the on-field captain. And I do get what you're saying, though, when it comes to the goalkeeper being a captain. I do think they can do it. I think they have different eyes. I think they have different vision. I think they are the best communicator on the field, or they should be the best communicator on the field. But those conversations with the referee are that much harder. That even if you were the captain as a goalkeeper, you would need a vice captain to have those conversations when the ball is up in the opposite 18-yard box, because the goalie's not running up to talk to the opposition.
And that's why I don't want a keeper to be the true armband-wearing captain. Because if something happens in the attacking third, I don't want Guzan having to run all the way up.
Might be good for his cardio.
Answer it, and then turn around. He has to run all the way back, and we're holding up play, and then...
Hey, Guzan would drop a couple pounds.
Well, he may drop a couple pounds, but in the meantime...
He's got good speed, according to FIFA.
We're going to have that
what
video.
Was his speed rating?
I don't know. It was really fast.
Well,
Eric Remetti was completely broken by this.
Yeah, they artificially tweaked his speed number and played it up like he's a player who could have gone to the field. He just chose to play keeper, and all the Atlanta United players were like, there's no way in God this is real. Like
I want a 40-yard sprint between all the Atlanta United players just to get the worth of that.
Oh, I mean, who would Brad beat is the question.
Parkey.
Well, yeah, we know that. Okay.
Hey, leave Parkey alone.
No, he would be. I think Parkey would say, yeah, I'm probably going to be last.
I think Brad will be fast over the first 10 yards. Goalkeepers do need to be fast off their box for that first 10 yards.
Long legs, long
he
stride.
would have a good advantage over those first 10 of sprinting out, and then he'd be puffing and probably having an asthma attack after 30 yards.
Over 40, I think he might beat Remetti. Maybe.
You think?
Maybe.
He has got long legs.
That's what the gentleman out here was saying.
Remetti's not fast. Like he's
like
quick.
A bulldog. He's
the bulldog from Bonfield. That's where we try to go with it.
There's nothing wrong with short, stocky players. We're a vital part of the game.
I know, Nick.
Low center of gravity.
You're just going to get beaten a foot race by Brad Guzan.
I ran a 4.640 in high school, sir.
Do you know how much
was that wind aided? Did you have a sail on your back?
That was a long time ago. No, I didn't have a sail on my back.
That hurts field players' egos so bad. Yes. In college, I remember my one goal in preseason training was to always beat field players, and they used to hate it. If a goalkeeper beat them in the bleep test, they would be so mad. It was amazing.
Okay.
What would happen to the field players if you beat them? How much stick does the coach give them?
Honestly, it was okay because my coach could tell I had worked hard, but at the same time, he was like, it's not okay when your goalkeeper is beating you. And I had my backup goalie was freaking just insane fit. So it was when us two were finishing in the top half, there was an issue with the defenders.
There we go.
That's not a good reflection on the rest of the squad. Okay, so our question, our Musing Monday question was, you're building a squad. What are you prioritizing? Like, is it certain positions? Is it a certain way of playing? What, just blank slate, what are you prioritizing when you're building a team?
Goalkeeper. Is that? I mean, it's predictable.
I should have known.
You should have known that. But you have to prioritize and start your team out of the back, because at the end of the day, if you're leaking goals through poor defensive play and poor goalkeeping, then you're having a problem.
True.
And again, communication is key. It comes out the back. And if you want to play the soccer style that I find attractive, which is playing the ball out of the back, you need to have a positive goalkeeper who has good distribution. I give Guzan a hard time because I don't think his distribution is quite good enough. It's worked. It's improved a lot. He is getting better at that cross-field pass from his goal kicks. But it is so key if you want to play out the back that you're going to have a goalkeeper that is confident with their feet. Otherwise, there's no point having good defenders in front of him because they're not going to receive the ball in good areas.
The thing with Brad, it's interesting when you dig into the numbers a little deeper. Like one thing I always go to and look up is long passing, like passes over 30 yards, because Opta tracks it. And Brad attempts more than anybody else in the league and completes about half, which is a pretty good percent. It's a better percentage than any other goalkeeper in the league.
It's a really difficult distribution.
Because the one he's hitting, it's not just a blind ball. Like, he's trying to put it on a player's chest up against the touchline 40, 45 yards away.
And you've only got a tiny margin of error at that point because, you know, if it goes a little too high, the midfielder, Gressel or Merrim, isn't going to be able to control it. If it goes a little bit short, then it's going to be picked up. It's a very risky ball.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult, you know, style to play. So I think we are hard on him sometimes because, let's be honest, when we're all sat in our seats with great vision, it looks like an easier ball to play than it is. But, you know, and let's not always think that it's the goalkeeper's fault.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of the times it may be poor touches or poor control from those wing backs.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And I go to Milan, and that's the one knock on Donnarumma's game is that he does not have the best feet in the world. Mm-hmm. And you can see that when he tries to play out of the back, that the ball will easily be misplaced. And if you are an outside back or if you are a midfielder dropping back and that ball's misplayed, suddenly you're in a bad situation.
So much pressure.
The defender's now in a bad situation because everyone goes, oh, crap, we have to compensate.
And then you got to think, if you're the coach doing the scouting in advance, you then change the style of you play potentially to press your goalkeeper that much more, to put them under the pressure. And as soon as a goalkeeper with nervous feet is being pressed, then you're looking at turnover after turnover because they're just going to whack it long.
Correct. All right, so we have it. She's going to start with a keeper.
That's fine.
And the shocking answer of the day, she's starting with a keeper.
She
provides extraordinarily fantastic analysis as to why.
It would be on my list. If I'm picking a position to start with, it's probably going to be the 6. Because if you're the Defenders Appreciation Society, Holding Midfielders Appreciation Society, I want that 6. It's not going to, from an MLS perspective, it's not going to be a designated player, probably, although I'm not going to be opposed to it. But that's going to define my team. Mm-hmm. And I want a 6 who can play, a 6 who can cover a lot of ground, who can get into a tackle but isn't limited like a Keane or a Gattuso, where that's how you define them. I want a 6 who can play and step forward when the play calls for it and be a little bit of that quarterback. And that's also who I'm looking at as a captain a lot of times, because that's what I want to be the embodiment of my squad.
All right. Look, 5 all day. I want a true 5. Now,
let's get into this real quick, because you're saying a 5 from an Italian perspective.
Yes.
Which is?
It's a true center back. That's going to be your that's a sweeper.
No, it's a center back who can be a sweeper. Now, what's interesting is a 5 in Argentina is a holding midfielder, is a 6. So De Rossi is a 5 in Argentina. When they have 2 holding midfielders, it's a doble cinco. Mm-hmm. It's a double 5.
Right. See, I need a sweeper.
And then we call it a 6, so it's all confusing.
I want someone who can read the game in such a way that you don't only account for what the other team's doing from an attacking standpoint, but I know the weaknesses of all of my fellow defenders, and I know, okay, his tendencies to push forward a little bit, that means that I need to compensate like this. Or my outside back has horrible damn feet no matter what I do, so I need to look at him as like my second, third option to get rid of the ball in the event that I get pressed. So now I need to know where to go.
High soccer IQ is what you're saying. They need the best soccer IQ, and every goalkeeper wants a good, and I'll call them a 5. Every goalkeeper needs a good 5 because they need someone that they can rely on to have that cover, and that's the person that they're going to communicate with to help organize their defense. There's nothing worse as a goalkeeper when you don't have a defender to help you organize your defense. Correct. It can't just come solely from you.
I mean, it's so much pressure on the goalkeeper then, because now it's like, okay, not only do I have to worry about all this mess in front of me, but now I have a team of morons who are all over the place. Why did you play that back to me when the
I may have been there 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, I may have seen photos of that from the black tie game, but it's to me a smart sweeper, and I do not like Chiellini. I mean, he seems like a very, very nice person, and I do not like the fact that he wears black and white on the weekends, but I love the fact that he's an intelligent defender who can guide, especially more experienced inexperienced center backs and really help orchestrate not only what happens when they're receiving pressure, but when the counter needs to happen quickly. That high IQ, even though the ball's not at my feet, Bonucci, you have the ball, Bonucci, look up and see the Hamburglar up top, find him.
Like directing from the back. And I think when you have that strong five, it allows the coach also to rotate more people around them, because they know that no matter who is alongside that five, they're going to have that stability, the person that understands the way they're playing to guide. So it allows youngsters to come in, and learn from that number five.
And my midfield now has more confidence that they can push up and not have to worry about necessarily, the guy behind us is, got iron feet and moves even slower than that. So we can't push up as far because now we have to drop back and help. And I don't want my playmakers having to worry about doing all that work. And that's the one thing, as dynamic as Miggy was in so many ways, there were times that he would drop back and I was like, oh my God, because you knew that barring him getting a clean path that the attack could be stalled. There would be a gap between lines. And I think a good quality five helps mitigate that.
Yeah, it can. All right. One of our favorite segments. We've got to hit before we finish. We need a theme song.
Mondays with Reddit.
It's Mondays with Reddit. Neymar has had some things that he has said. I knew Nick would love this. Neymar said this in an interview with Goal.com. I messed up several times, and recovering all the confidence I had has a high price. But I think it's normal for human beings to fail. It's part of life. And due to these errors, you grow and learn. Thoughts, Nick?
It has a high price, like $20 million of your own money so you can move teams. Is that the high price he's talking about?
Maybe.
Is that the confidence he wants to discover in a different jersey?
He's also proud to be a role model for others.
Oh, like slapping fans and,
Hey, look, if it wasn't from him, that would be quite an inspirational quote to keep. I mean, it's a decent quote if it wasn't from him with the context.
That's
it's
right,
true.
Exactly. It's a good quote, and I would love to see the book that he pulled it from or the agent that gave it to him, because I would like to shake that agent's hand.
The script writer.
Yeah, the script writer did a marvelous job. But yet again, the actor fails in the role. Look, he's a bum. He's a bum. You could be a skilled, talented, amazing bum, and that's. I get it. He dumped everything into that Barcelona move, and yet it didn't materialize. And PSG plays better without him. You're not going to chime in on this? You're walking away? Birthday?
Oh, no, you're not done yet. Okay. You have to hang out for Mondays with Reddit.
There was no tag team there?
Yeah.
You're not getting out of there on that one.
The pitcher will be there. Come on. Okay, so what is your take on Neymar? I mean, I think he's a bum. And PSG plays better without him.
Yeah, I think that he's overrated, honestly, and he's gone and he's underachieved. And quotes like that don't help yourself. Sometimes you just need to keep silent. I get his purpose. He's trying to come out. He's trying to talk. He's trying to apologize. But sometimes you just have to keep silent, buckle down, work hard, and see what you can do, rather than going out there with all these words, thinking you're going to change people's perspectives. He needs to realize that no apology is going to be enough with how he's performed, the way he's acted, his attitude, the way he, you mentioned the slap of the fan. Like, as much as it was an awful slap, it's unexcusable, or inexcusable, I should say. But I think that sometimes you just have to keep silent, because when you talk, you dig a hole for yourself. And I would say he's definitely dug a deep, 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 deep hole, and he needs to kind of walk into it to his next club.
Yeah.
So we had a wild incident in the Bolivian First Division over the weekend.
There we go.
Mario Cuellar broke his leg. First Division match, big game, 75th minute, and no ambulance. None.
Oh, wait, what?
No ambulance. Broken leg. Got to go to the hospital. No ambulance. So he is carried off the field and then loaded in a taxi that appears to be a station wagon with the hatchback up, and he's just loaded in. I mean, I don't know if he could have ridden the llama to the hospital. That's true. But there's pictures. It doesn't look good for the guy.
So it's like an old Subaru. They brought in an old Subaru, popped the hatchback.
Did he have to pay his own taxi fare?
I think he might have had to pay the taxi. He might have had to tip the guy. Craziness. Broke his leg, and they just load him in the back of the hatchback.
Go to the locker room, get my wallet. I need some cash over here to pay the ride. I'm starting to lose consciousness. I'm going to shock. Please hurry.
Please tip the driver who got me here.
That's right.
Oh, my goodness.
That's one where you give like a tremendous amount of cash to the driver in advance and be like, if you get me there in under 20 minutes, it's getting doubled.
Jeez. You'll like this one, Nick. This is according to the Telegraph. Ed Woodward is convinced he is turning Manchester United around, and he is prepared to take the pain of another difficult season as he thinks the project will reap its reward.
Yes. Yet again, North Korea has led the way in iodine and sodium production. All chickens in all pots. Everything's well. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The guy's a moron. The fact that we know this man's name. We know his name. Why do we know your name, Ed Woodward?
Did you see the video? I can't remember what player was behind Ed Woodward saying sacked Phil Jones, right?
Yes.
Maybe he said that.
No. Oh, come on.
I
couldn't quite tell what he said.
I am 99 point. I would put a lot of juice boxes that he said sacked in the morning.
Absolutely.
And then the response was, "We're on camera. Stop."
We're on camera.
And then they weren't in those seats anymore.
No.
They moved seats because they couldn't be in the camera's eye. He said that. I'm pretty sure. Juice boxes for everyone.
Juice boxes. I'm with you on that. I will co-sign that juice box bet. We're putting the high level juice box on there. We're not putting
Ribena.
We're not putting conflict-free, ethically treated, named aloe juice box. We're putting like high fructose corn syrup, fruit punch, high C on the line.
Like just the ones that say purple.
Purple.
Like
purple
it's not
drink.
grape, it's just purple.
Yes, and apple is green.
Yes.
That's what we're doing. Apple is green. That's the juice box, the little ones that look like little barrels.
Yes.
Little barrels, that's what we're putting up.
All right, Jess, I want to get your...
Hugs. Is that what they're... Yes.
There we go.
We're putting hugs, juice boxes on.
I want to get your take on this one, Jess. Paul Ince said this. I think of Ole, talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in the same way as I do Frank Lampard. Two young managers, lacking experience, thrown into two massive clubs. But if you gave me the choice of who I'd rather be watching this season, it'd be Chelsea all day long.
I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. I think Chelsea has a more exciting team. You've got a bunch of youngsters, a bunch of academy players. I think he's doing a great job of bringing players like Abraham into the squad. And as much as they may not be performing all the time and getting the consistent results, they are playing some fun soccer. When you look at Man United, it's just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And look, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I loved watching him growing up. I thought he was a fantastic player. He is very, very fortunate that he's a Man United legend, because I think those talks of, sackings is probably unrealistic at this point. I think he will be given more time and more patience, because it is hard to, end a tenure with a legend like that very quickly. They're going to be cautious about that. But I think Man United is dismal right now. I think it's a bunch of egos on the pitch, and we thought maybe when Ole had that good streak when he came in that they were playing for him, but now it looks like all they want to do is play for themselves.
Yeah, it looked like they were playing for a transfer window. Mm-hmm. We're going to boost our value and we're going to get out of here. I would have to agree. I think Chelsea's the team that I'm going to watch. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if Christian Pulisic's agent is wondering what in God's name did we sign up for.
That was my next question. What does Frank Lampard have against Christian Pulisic? I don't know.
I think it's different. He hasn't played in 3 games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he did a bad job when he played.
No.
I think he hung in there. That he does have competition. That's good but I don't think he looked like a sore thumb in the Premier League. And he'll be disappointed. It was a big move. It was a brave move, an adjustment. But I thought he was faring well. And what's interesting is to go out of favor that quickly, you have to wonder if maybe something happened in training or something off the side that's led to it. And I don't want to speculate, but to even not be brought on, you have to wonder what's going on.
I think it's perfectly okay to speculate in this case, because it was such a quick hook. The fact that you have a guy that you brought in, he's a big money signing. And this to me is where the board should come in and be like, hey, Frank, we got to play this kid, because there's a substantial fiscal investment. Even if you don't like him, let's say from a character standpoint, you don't like the kid, we have to get our money back. So you got to play him so we can get our money back. And
because he's not going anywhere if he's not getting minutes. That's the thing. Even if you want to resell him, even if you already know what, come next year, he's not going to be a Blue. You have to get him minutes, otherwise his resale value is just
plummet.
Yeah,
and it's the fiscal the fiscal realities of the world, that if you take that level of loss on a player, the hit to your bottom line is dramatic. And yes, you do have a 2-window ban. Mm-hmm. It's perfect time to play him. I mean, because if he goes out there and he struggles, Frank could come out and be like, guys, we got a 2-window ban. The kid's coming in here. He's going to play. There's a ton of people who we're going to, knock the kid out of here. There's a ton of competition available for me to rotate these guys in. There's 5 trillion excuses for him to try it out other than, we're not playing him. Well, why not? We're on to Watford.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens with Pulisic.
Like Americans.
We're going to finish with our punching bag today, Barcelona. And Luis Suarez had a couple different things that he was involved in yesterday in the loss to Granada. So he insulted the linesman during the loss. He said that he was poked in the eye by a Granada player during the game. He didn't get the decision. And he said to the kid, obviously in Spanish, "You're an idiot. An idiot. You're a lying kid. You're a liar."
Okay.
It's just funny thinking of Suarez saying that.
So then after the game, he said a few things that if you are Ernesto Valverde, you have to be a little concerned about. He said, "Nothing is confirmed at this stage, but these are games which give you La Liga. In other years, we won these games at the end or with ease. We have to be more convincing, and we have to be aware that this is going to be a tough year." That's what one of your focal points is saying now.
That's a focal point who needs to be moved to MLS.
Inter Miami, here we come.
Yeah. Look, either Ernesto takes charge and comes out and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you coming to our stadium. We appreciate your love and support for the club, but we're going to suck for a little while until we get some players in here who represent the best of Barcelona." I'm just saying, why not? Why? I mean, just say it. Just come out and say that, and we're going to blow this thing up. We've been buying too many players. We haven't been building our own. And as the manager of the team, I'm going to take the board out of it and say that's on me because of the players I've asked for. Mm-hmm. We're changing it right now. And the board has to either back you and say, yep, we agree with this. We're going to give them an extension. Or bye-bye, you're out the door. Either way, as Ernesto, you're free from the immediate situation.
Yeah, I think you got to move him on. When you're getting comments like that coming out in the media after a tough loss, you got to move him.
His heart's not in it. Yep. And that's the thing. It just seems like for him to speak like that, it's almost like he's speaking as like outside his body. Like it's not his team, it's that team.
Yeah.
And that's what's a concern. He's sort of talking about Barcelona like it's not his fault, it's everyone else. And when you don't have players that are invested in your club, you don't want them in there. And you talk about investment in their youth with teams that have such better academies, they need to start creating their own players and investing in the youth.
Right. And if you think if a kid from La Masia comes up who's eating group meals in that facility is going to come out and say some mess like that? No. There's no way.
No.
Because the club is bigger than all. They understand their role within the club and their role within...
And a loyalty to that badge,
Exactly.
and that's the difference. There's not that love. When you look at Atletico Madrid, there is such a love for their club and their badge, and it's a family. And I think with Barcelona, it's more individualistic, and they don't really have that same bleeding for their team.
They've lost it. I mean, look at San Jose, to bring it back as we wrap up. Look at them playing with 10. Did you notice every time that Vega made a huge save, like 5 teammates were running over and slapping him on the back?
It was brilliant.
When, I think Youngverth had the near giveaway that Heinemann couldn't put on goal. Like 5 players come over like, dude, it's okay. Like the team element from the Earthquakes, I was so impressed with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that whether you're new to the game or whether you have been following it for a long time, it's something that anybody could spot. The fact that when you have those players who I'm going to run and blow my lungs out for those people all around me, so that way the guys behind me aren't being put in a bad situation. If something bad happens, we're going to lift each other up. If something bad does actually happen, hey, chins up, let's go. Next thing, now we're going 110 miles an hour. There's something to be said about that in the culture that they're building in San Jose. And shout out to the supporters who came out. They had a significant loud group of supporters that were right down from us. And so they're really building something special out there.
And without that team spirit, a team goes down to 10 and they're dead.
Yeah.
You know, they're done. But for me, watching as a fan, you couldn't even tell half the time that they'd gone down to 10 players. You had to remind yourself that they had, because they were playing for each other. They were playing out their skins. And it was that extra burst, that extra positive praise from their teammate. You can do it. Even for the goalkeeper, getting that praise kept him focused, kept him in it, knowing that he was making a difference. And it was beautiful to watch, honestly.
And you've played collegiately, and I'm sure you've played with people who maybe have turned around and had that quick cutting remark if you had a goalkeeping error, right? Which I'm sure never happened for you.
No,
So
that didn't happen.
always-
What are you talking about?
You're so right, and that's the thing. There's a huge difference, and I've played for teams where, you know, you've made a mistake and everyone's like, get your head up, it's okay, we move on, it's not your fault. You know, there's the cliche, it has to go through all 11 players to be your fault. But then on the flip side, I've had it where, you know, they've made me know that, hey, that was your fault. And when they do that, guess what? My head's not in the game anymore.
No.
The next save comes, and I'm worried about it. There's so much more pressure. So for that goalkeeper, he could have let a ball through his legs on Saturday, and I'm pretty sure his team would have still picked him up off the ground. They would have still told him it's going to be okay. And guess what? Then that's goldfish memory, short-term memory. We talk about it all the time, Jason.
Yep.
And it helps when you have a team which you know isn't holding it against you.
Right, and you saw when the final whistle blew, those players for San Jose collapsed on that field. It looked like they had lost a final. And when you have a team that approaches every game like, this is our final, we are going out, we're going absolutely nuts, we're going to do whatever it takes to win, and you come in that losing effort, you saw that on the field, and that mentality was right there for everyone to see. And it's something, if you're MLS, you're looking and saying, how can we get more of that?
Mm-hmm. You get more managers like Matias Almeida. I mean, we had a longer pregame than usual on radio because of the late start, the 3:55 kick. So we got to kind of dig into it a little bit, which was a blast. Almeida, I love the way he sees the game. I love the way he thinks about it. He described it as like when he played in teams that would be very rigid, a 4-4-2, and he's like, we have so much talent. Why are we playing this way? And he talked about the soccer that he loves is the soccer that he would play when he was 5 years old, and what kids like that put a smile on their face. They want the ball. They play to get the ball. It's not about being rigid in a formation. It's not about a shape. It's about fighting and scrapping, but also playing with flair and heart. And he said that he's got his team to where he feels like they're believing in the badge. And I think we saw it. I mean,
and they play like they're having fun.
Yes.
And that's what I think
he wants
you
the
have
game
to do.
to put a smile on his players' face. He wants them to play
I think
that style.
When you're a professional or you're in college, sometimes there's so much pressure on you, or you're training so often, it's exhausting and you forget why you do it in the first place. But those players didn't look fed up in that game.
No.
They looked like they were enjoying it. Even when they were struggling, they had 10 players, they were still trying to show their flair, their spirit, play what they're strong with. And that's a beautiful thing, because at times you can see professionals that don't look like they want to be out there on the pitch.
It felt like a pickup game in some ways. I mean, it felt like, you got 11 guys out there, you're playing a game. It's not that you don't know everybody, but you're not thinking like, all right, we have to play a line of 4 here. We're going to play an offside trap. We're going to play.
Yeah.
We're just going to play.
And that's the best advertisement that this league can have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for soccer over there. The SDH universe of network things is going to be packed this week. So tomorrow, normal show, 9 o'clock in the morning, soccer down here. We'll get more into the Atlanta NYC preview on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, not a normal show. It'll be the All-Star special of previews for Atlanta and NYC from Yankee Stadium. We'll be on the air on 92.9 The Game at 6:30 on Wednesday. Kickoff will be just after 7 o'clock. Thursday, it'll be a lunch hour soccer down here show because I'll be back on the team charter and landing probably at about 2 o'clock. So it's not going to feel fancy when I'm flying up that morning and flying back that night. I'm going to be dead. So I'm going to sleep.
Guys, I've got a business brunch. I'm going to be on the charter flight.
Yes.
Just letting everybody know.
No, it's going to be, I'm going to be dead because I don't sleep on planes, and it'll be like a noon soccer down here show.
Sleep on planes.
Then Friday, and Wednesday there's this other thing going on that I've heard about.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
Well, you're involved in it.
Yeah.
Oh, that, with Jess. Yes.
Yeah, ESPN Plus, Atlanta United 2.
Action at the Fraction?
Yeah, I've learned not to call it that now. I got in trouble this morning.
Yes, I like it. I finally have somebody on my side in this.
No.
I just feel guilty because you were so disappointed with me this morning.
Don't give in to John's ridiculousness.
7:30 on ESPN Plus.
Yep.
It is Indy 11 coming to town. And Indy 11's part of that three-team mess at the top of the East, and Atlanta United 2 working their way up the table as they've done for the second year in a row. It's going to be an interesting test.
So and you'll have an English accent talking about color, so
there you
who
go.
Doesn't love that?
I tried it once. It didn't work. It was very bad.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what we were anticipating.
It was no good. But then Oglethorpe games this weekend, all kinds of stuff going on for the SDH Cavalcade of Stars.
Yes.
But tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Thanks, everybody, for coming out to the Brewhouse. We'll be back next week.
Thanks to the Brewhouse.
Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata.
Mucha yuri, y'all.
Thanks for coming out for my birthday.
Mucha birthday.
Feliz cumpleaños.